Hello, good afternoon. Welcome. This is the second session of the Plainfield Community Gardens meeting. We also have a meeting this Saturday at 12 o'clock. No, 10 o'clock, excuse me, 10 o'clock. This is Adrian from Community Groundwork, and she'll be leading the meeting today, so enjoy. Oh, one more thing, we have lunch, a light lunch for you, so if you want to grab something while Adrian's speaking, that'd be great.
Thank you. My name is Adrian Kubich. I'm with Groundwork Elizabeth, and the city of Plainfield has started 2 community gardens, one on Berkeley Terrace and one on Brookside Place. The Brookside Place is 14 beds and Berkeley Terrace is 22. So we're looking for people to come and join the community gardens. You receive a 8x3 full bed that's filled with mushroom compost. All the gardens have been irrigated, so you don't have to worry about watering. All you have to do is come and plant and weed and maintain, and then you can harvest. You can plant whatever you like as long as it's legal. And it's really going to be a fun experience for everybody involved. We'd really like you to come and sign up and be a part of this. So the workshop series that I'm doing, one class each month, is we're going to be doing. We already did the startup of the gardens. This meeting is going to be about planning your garden, not planting. We're planning at this stage. So planning is very important. To know if you're doing in your own backyard, you want to know the way the sun is coming up and the sun is setting. You also need a water source and you need good soil. You don't have to worry about any of that at the community gardens because it's already been thought out for you. You've got a 8x3 metal bed that's sustainable. You have the mushroom compost and you have a water source right there. Being a part of the Plainfield Gardens also entitles you to free seedlings. So Groundwork Elizabeth, we start our seedlings in March, and we're going to be able to provide you with tomatoes, peppers, squash, eggplant, and what's the other one? Anyway, there's 5 plants. Cucumbers, there we go. So we'll be able to provide you with those seedlings to put in your garden in April when planting time. But for today's workshop, we're going to be talking about planning your garden. So the first thing you really want to think about is, what does your family eat? What kind of vegetables do you like? You know, why plant something that you don't like? So that's first off. Is to want to try something new, something that you haven't eaten before. This would be a good opportunity to do that. Maybe some squash, butternut squash that you've never had before. Try growing that. Also, you want to think about most seed packets give you too many seeds. There's a ton of seeds in those little tiny packets that you're not going to be able to use all of them in your garden bed. So why not share with your neighbor and swap? And this way you're not, you're using up everything. So that is another aspect. Maybe you want to do medicinal herbs. Just want to turn your garden bed into an herb garden. So these are all things you want to think about when you're planning your garden. You also want to think about the sun. If the sun is rising and setting, you don't want to plant corn in front that's going to grow 6 feet tall, and then have your pepper plant behind that. That's not going to get any sun. So you have to plan the position of your plantings. Let's see. What else? When do you want to plant everything? I handed out a chart of when to start seeds. Oh, sorry.
Question.
Yeah.
Adrian, you mentioned about the sun. So if on Berkeley Terrace, what, do you know the pattern of the sun there?
I think it comes up behind, it's parallel to, what's that road? Yeah, no, not Terrell Road. Yes, front. Across the street.
How we approach.
If you were,
It's perpendicular.
okay, so if you go front,
Terrell is parallel to. So they're both running this way.
right,
I actually
okay.
live on Berkeley Terrace.
So I'm thinking, because I know where the garden is, and my house is on the same side of the street as the garden. And so my house sits this way. The sun comes up over here and kind of sets over here. It's not exactly east-west.
Okay.
So the sun kind of, comparing it to my house,
Comes
yeah,
up-
the sun
Is it
kind of comes up.
parallel?
It kind of, so I'm facing, Terrell Road is here, Front Street is here. Kind of, but it's not exactly straight on.
Yeah.
So-
Southeast, at the sun
It-
comes up.
So northeast, yes, southeast, it comes up southeast. No, it's actually, but the way the street sits, I'm sorry, is what I'm trying to say. So if the garden is like here facing this way, and I'm looking at Berkeley Terrace, then the sun is coming up kind of here, and it's setting kind of here. So
So
I get most of the
Kind of doing
sun.
an angle across the
Yes,
garden.
yeah,
Well, it changes to that.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it
it
will.
does,
And
but that's generally, particularly in the summer.
in
is that-
the
that's
summer,
really
it'll get
how-
higher in the sky.
Yeah, that's really kind of how it goes.
Okay, so I handed out a piece of graph paper and some pencils. What I'd like you to do is draw out an 8x, we're gonna use an 8x3 garden bed for an example. So I figured if you start at the top and go 4 squares per foot. So if you go 4 squares and then 4 more squares and 4 more squares, that'll be 3 feet across the top of the paper. And then go down 8 feet.
So 32, 12. by
Yeah.
32.
Yeah.
So 12 by 32? Yeah, 12 across.
Uh,
32
yeah,
down.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. I need a calculator.
Really, you really see how big it is when you do that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So this will give you an idea of your planting area.
12 across and how many down?
32. Yes, you are.
So while I'm drawing, may I ask you a few questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I have 3 questions to ask you. One is, I'm assuming we are allowed to provide our own trellises and things to grow this?
When you're in
Green
a community,
cucumbers.
when you're in a community garden situation, you
Mhm.
want to just be very, very wary of what shade you're casting on the neighboring bed.
Right,
So if you put up a cucumber trellis, watch the shade.
yeah,
You might be asked to take it down.
okay. Because otherwise the cucumbers are gonna just be growing.
Right. Yeah, there's different vegetables that need different types of growing conditions and trellising and stabilization. But
And
that's why
okay,
you're planting
that-
right now.
excellent, right? And now, I know you said it's irrigated.
Mhm.
Now, who is controlling the irrigation?
The irrigation control is gonna be up to the garden champion that
Okay,
I'm gonna recruit. We need garden champions for both gardens, someone to keep the beds filled, keep the beds occupied with the gardeners. And hopefully we'll get that underway.
So So how many days, you said we're on the Berkeley?
I think you said 22?
22. Berkeley has 22 and Brookside has 14. Yeah. Brookside, there's 2 beds that are 6 by 3. A little bit smaller, so I was hoping that that would turn into a community-driven bed where you could plant herbs and community herbs. That, you know, you can go clip some oregano, you can clip some arugula, that kind of stuff. And share, that way you're not using your bed to grow something that's gonna be community. Okay, so now you should have the 8 by, hi, how are you? Good. You should have the 8 by 3 grid written out, drawn out. What you want to do is on the other empty side of the page, is write down what you want to plant, what your family likes, what you're planning to grow. And then you're going to figure out how much room each plant is going to need. Yeah, for those that just came in, the graph paper, if you go 12 squares across and 32 down, that's going to provide you with the 8 by 3 garden bed. What how many do? 32 down and 12 across. So just the next step is to go across 4 squares on the top so you get the 1 foot and go down and then each you want to just mark off squares. So 4 across, a 4 by 4 is 1 square foot. So just make tick marks, or you know, go straight across and draw a grid. Yes, perfect.
You have to do 12 across, and base it down, and then 4 by 4. So that was just what I'm putting here, 1 across.
It's gonna look like this.
Okay, that's good. 4 by 4.
Oh, all right. So I'm marking this off, so you have a square foot, and it's kind of easy to, there's a gardener who wrote many books on square foot gardening. Square foot gardening is an awesome way for new people, new to gardening, to understand how much space your plants are gonna need. So I've handed out, a plant list that has the name of the fruit or vegetable, and it tells you how many plants you can plant in 1 square foot. So you can go down that list and make notes. Now you said, okay, so you're doing like the regular, you can mix it up. Yep. Yep, depending on how many are gonna fit in 1 square foot. So, go ahead.
Yeah, so, you mentioned you have the number of plants that you fit into 1 square foot. So you know what the three things that what you can harvest from these plants?
Each plant is gonna be different. 1 stalk of corn will give you 2 ears of corn. That's it. So corn is really, I disencourage
Corn.
corn. But it varies with all different vegetables.
No, Adrian, you said that you're supplying some seedlings. Can you tell me again what they are?
Tomatoes,
And are you doing cherry tomatoes or?
I'm doing both.
Okay.
Cherry tomatoes and large tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, eggplant, and squash. Usually summer squash.
Which kind of squash is that?
Summer squash. Could be zucchini. Yes.
And the number column, the number represents.
The number represents how many plants.
So if you look at Brussels sprouts, you got number 2 and you got 1.
Yeah, you know what?
Each of they're saying that.
You can put 2. Well,
I read that you need,
well, if you look at carrots, there's 32 carrots and there's 16 per square foot.
okay,
So
two squares would be
2
carrots.
squares would be carrots, yeah.
So how does that translate to the number of seeds that you plant to get to that result?
Generally, I usually plant, well, there's some plants, some vegetables that are gonna require seedlings, and others are direct seed into the ground with your seed. So carrots are direct seed. Usually the carrot seeds are super, super tiny. So you wanna do a row of them and then thin it. As the plants come up and the very tops of the carrots, you wanna thin it. Pull out the scrawny ones and leave the healthy ones. What else? Onions are direct seed. Peas are direct seed. Peas are an actual size of the pea, so you can pop them in and know where they're gonna grow. But also keep in mind that peas require trellis, or at least some kind of, something to climb up. There's also different kinds of beans. There's bush beans and there's the runner beans. Runner beans they need a trellis. Bush beans stay compact in a bush. So, once you decide what you want to plant in your garden, then you need to research it to see how they grow, what's the best way to grow, what do they need, how much sunlight, how much water. So by doing this, by drawing out the grid, you'll be able to put in there, if you want 4 pea plant, how many peas? Where, 16 carrots in 1 square foot.
So where's you're asking us to lay out?
Yeah, well, these are just tools for you to plan your garden.
Right, so I'm planning, if I want tomatoes, I'm just trying to go right into it.
Mhm.
I want tomatoes, you're supplying seedlings.
I'm supplying seedlings of tomatoes, yes.
So if I go on, the last page, you got tomatoes, a small tomato. You're gonna supply 4 seedlings, is that?
I'm gonna supply you probably like 400 plants per garden, per Berkeley Heights and 400 per Brookside. You'll be able to pick, if you want to do your whole bed in tomatoes, take, I don't know how many, 24 tomato plants.
Yeah.
You can take 24 tomato plants. If you want 3 tomatoes and then 3 peppers, and then, you can take, I'm gonna let the garden champion decide how they want to distribute. All right? Yes. Yes, there are. I don't recommend, I've been, corn, don't plant corn in your community garden. It's not worth it. You need corn, you need a lot of it, and it's cross-pollinated by the air. So it needs a lot of plants to pollinate to even produce the 2 years that you're gonna get first stalk. So I don't think it's worth it. But there's plants that don't like each other. I don't know them offhand, but everything does tolerate everything. So there's some plants that do better, like there's the Indian method of planting called sister companion planting, which is to grow the corn, to grow the beans. The beans will grow up the corn. And the third one is, wait a minute. Corn, beans, and squash, because the squash and beans will grow up the corn. So that's another method, and they do like each other. I know tomatoes love when you plant basil next to them, they both thrive.
Thank you.
There's different combinations that do like each other better. Depending on what, if you wanted to plant them. If you don't like basil in your garden, then that's not gonna work for you. So you also want to keep in mind, on the back of every seed packet is growing instructions, planting instructions, plant height when it is finally ready for harvest. It'll tell you how high it's going to be. Every seed packet has that on there. I do have some seed packets with me. In the back of the package. So when planning out your garden, read the back of the packages and see what works for you. And that'll also help you in drawing out your grid to know that, your pepper plants are going to get 18 inches high. So your basil is going to get 24 inches high. So you might want to think about that. The way the sun is going to go, you want to think about what's going to shade what. It's not rocket science at all. But there is some things that you normally wouldn't consider that I just wanted to bring to your attention. Any questions? Uh-huh. What? Oh. That's strange. Right, yeah. So groundwork is available for any questions, any issues that you might have. We are around. My email address is on the flyer. You can ask any questions anytime something comes up. Yeah, I do.
So if we are interested in signing up and securing a plot on one of the gardens, how does that go about? Are we signing up to do them, and do we get to pick which garden we want, and how does that work?
Yes, you get to pick which garden you want, would probably be the closer one to your home.
Yeah.
Veronica Taylor of Parks and Rec, she has the signups. She's doing signups for each garden.
Did she have it with the first meeting?
Yes, she had it on the first meeting.
Now, the thing about it that I wanted to, that's another question, because I thought about that after I left. Now, we have 22 in Berkeley Terrace and 14 in Brookside. How can we secure our spots before they all get full, get filled up?
I believe it's first come, first served. So who is it?
I believe you could give us the name on the list.
Yeah, I'm on the list for the first meeting
Yeah.
for Berkeley Terrace.
Yes.
So how do we get on that list? Or do we email Ronnie, or,
You can just email Lonnie or you can email me.
and what's your email?
My email address at the city is paul.phillips@plainfieldnj.gov.
Can I repeat that for the Facebook audience or YouTube audience?
Oh, no. I'm just gonna do that for this class.
Okay. I'm sorry? It depends on what type of plant you want to plant. You can plant 16 carrots in 1 square foot and 1 tomato in 1 square foot. So do you want to do all carrots? You can do that, 24 square, 8 times 3, 24. So your bed has 24 square feet of planting space. So you can have 16 carrots in 1 square foot, 1 tomato plant in 1 square foot. Right? It's 24. Thank you. Any other questions?
How are you working on these things? See, I'm concerned about having to take anyway. Those tell me, right, that means nothing. Well, so you talk about, well, my question is, how many plants do we be concerned about? I'm doing, I say, oh, corn, tomatoes, let's say carrots, collard greens, and pepper.
Well, that's what you're planning out.
Okay, so I'm doing 4 plants, 4 different plants.
Yeah, each tomato plant, put down tomato in 4 different squares there, because then you're gonna have 4 tomato plants. Or you can put an X for, you know. Now, a plant like an okra will take up like a 3 foot around. There a lot of space, but you can plant things underneath it that don't require a whole, like direct sunlight. Plant lettuce underneath it. That's not going to require so much sun, and use up that space. I don't recommend you planting garlic in your bed. Just because garlic, you plant it in the fall and you don't harvest it until July. So that precious planting space in your bed is going to be taken up from April to July. Yeah, it's more of a container plant, or in a community garden situation, those smaller beds, the 6 by 3, maybe you just want to plant, 2 of them with just garlic that everybody can share come July. That's the beauty of community gardening. The other thing is if you grew too many tomato plants and you're overloaded with all these cherry tomatoes, share it with your neighbor who didn't plant tomatoes. Share it with the food pantries. The community garden that I run in Union, we donate to the community food pantry.
So I think you're going to
Yeah, there's different kinds of cabbages that is winter and summer, same thing with squash. But keep in mind the trellising. If you want to do cucumbers, maybe do the cucumbers in the middle of the bed, and then you can do a trellis in the middle, but maybe not shade the other plants. Yes.
What's the, on the list of getting the plant list, what is the number?
I'm really not sure.
Because if you said we planted 16 carrot plants, you get 32 carrots.
No, it's 16 per square foot.
So if I have 16, this is
16 plants.
I've never noticed that number 32.
No, it's only one carrot per plant.
Oh, so that's what.
I know, I'm looking at it now going, what is that number? I don't know. Yeah. I'm not positive what that. That could be the recommended planting for defeated family. I don't know. Yes.
You mentioned about the soil, that it was gonna be,
The soil that we already filled the beds with is mushroom compost, which is very, very nutritious. So you're.
so now what about the pH? You do all, is that gonna work for all the plants? During the climate?
It should work with most vegetable plants. I know blueberries require more acidic soil, but I don't think you're gonna be planting blueberries in your bed, garden bed. That's more of a community, garden crop. A community. So in the community garden, there could be, one bed that you designate just for community consumption. Everybody that belongs in the garden can pick blueberries from that bed. Just like the garlic would be communal. So you don't have to use your space in your garden for that. The other thing I want to ask you to stay away from is mint. Mint. You all know about mint, I don't need to tell you. Very, very invasive. It will take over everything. Yeah, so mint you want to put in a container. Yeah, you can't, it chokes out everything. It's very invasive, so that requires sealed container. Any other questions? Yes.
For the acidic, ground, you want to stay away from that? Like the blueberry,
As far as I know, blueberries require more acidic soil, more sandy based. But like I said before, anything that you do plan on planting in your garden bed, look it up, Google it, just to make sure that, it's gonna do what you want it to do. And this year, when I'm planning out my garden, my son is getting married in October, and they're doing a whole fall themed wedding, of course. So I volunteered to grow all the gourds. So now I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this. But, so yeah, the gourds are like pumpkins, they take over everything. And also watermelon will spread, squash, zucchini will spread.
So what does that mean? You should just put one box, just.
It's gonna climb out of your box and
To the,
yeah.
so can you just put
which-
it in one box, or do you need to put it in two boxes? If it's going to climb, so would you put
It's
it in
not gonna
one box?
climb as much as creep. So you want to plan for a larger area for squash plants.
So you would say two boxes? Two of these?
2 square foot,
Yeah.
yes, definitely.
That's what I'm.
2 square feet for one plant.
That's fine.
Okay, so now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So now you can go onto the handout that I did and figure out how many cucumbers you can do per square foot. And then you'll know how many plants you need.
Hello?
Yes,
Okay, the cucumbers, the rock, is it a climber or a spread?
cucumbers climb. Cucumbers also like to be planted in a mound. And they also like to be planted in groups. So you typically want to take 3 cucumber plants and put them together and mound the soil up around it. and then put your trellis up. That's the other thing. And tomato cages, tomato supports, put them in as soon as you put that plant in the ground. Don't wait until the plant is this high to decide to put a cage around it. It's not gonna work. We've tried it, trust me. Yes.
Okay, so provide, I think it's always something we provide. Farmer.
I provide the cucumbers, I don't provide the trellises.
You don't provide the pork. So,
I'm,
trellis, you don't provide that.
I don't provide the trellises, no, but I do provide the cucumbers. But typically, you can use anything for a trellis. I've seen headboards, beds used as a trellis, ladders, you can use sticks. Or you can buy the tomato cages.
So Adrian, I know, Bonnie mentioned about being fenced off.
They're
The
gonna,
deer and the rabbits are gonna be able to control.
there's no controlling rabbits or squirrels. There's no escaping them. That squirrel will pick the tomato that you've been eyeing for the last 3 weeks. That's the one he'll target. And he'll take one bite out of it and leave it there to say, ha ha. So yes, on the deer fence, no on the rabbit fence. Unless you go underground with metal around, a metal fencing, metal chicken wire or something, there's no. Some people plant vegetables that will attract bunnies and groundhogs and that kind of stuff. They'll plant crops to attract them, to keep them away from their regular garden. So there's also that. I'm not sure how well that works.
Then you have to take them.
Yeah. Yes. No, there's suggestions. You can plant anything. I had a man, an elderly man, he was in his 80s that he used to come to the community garden that I ran. And he was from Chile. And he used to bring all these herbs that I never heard of. And he would plant them in his garden. It was amazing, really amazing. So like I said, you can plant anything you want. As long as you maintain it, you harvest it, and it's legal.
That's funny.
Weed is,
So do you have enough that you're gonna feed your family?
weed is actually, legal.
Not to grow.
Yeah, I think there's a.
I'm being facetious.
They're the right kind of poppies. You can't grow those.
Yes. You know what? I don't know what the number means on this chart that I printed out. I apologize. I don't know what the first number is, but the second number is how many you need to plant. So on cucumbers, yeah. So over here. But actually, I would do a grouping of 3 cucumbers in that mound and 3 in this mound.
Okay, so I will have this one coming through all of them.
So 2, 4, 6. You have 6 mounds.
How does broccoli grow? How does it grow?
Broccoli is it's pretty fairly easy to grow. It is susceptible to whitefly and aphids,
How
and
does it go like with ants?
it's like just like you buy it in the store, it'll pop out in the middle of the plant. Yeah. Okra needs to be harvested when it's about 4 inches long. If you let it grow longer than that or bigger than that, it will get bigger, but it's hard as well. You can't.
You give me okra?
Sorry?
Are you providing okra?
I might be able to.
I don't see it here.
It's not on the list? Oh, well, it takes Like I said before, okra takes about a 3-foot radius. The plant is that big. Beautiful flowers on the tree.
So the tomatoes small, that's cherry tomatoes?
Cherry tomatoes are small, yeah.
But
But
that's not a tomato?
you have to be careful with the tomatoes. There's 2 different types of tomato plants. There's determinate and indeterminate. Indeterminate, I always screw this up, so look it up. One of them, it produces fruit all summer long, and it will take off. It'll get really, really tall. It'll grow as tall as it can. I believe it's determinate tomatoes, they flower and fruit once during the summer. And they pretty much maintain a bush type of yeah. So when you're looking at tomatoes, read the back of the package and see if they're determinate or indeterminate. I have to get in my head which one is which. Oh, yeah, sunflowers are awesome in the garden. Like they get super, super tall, so I would put them at the back of the garden where they're not gonna shade the other bed. That's the other thing you have to be considerate of is your neighbor. You know, if your crops are gonna be shading your neighbor. So maybe along the back of the garden, or a garden bed that's not gonna be.
So this is basically for our use,
Yes,
like, so we can think it out,
yeah, you wanna
plan
plan,
it.
it. This is the planning your garden.
This is great.
Next, in March, the next class, we're gonna be doing the seeding. So to start seeds, it's gonna be hands-on, you're gonna get your hands dirty. Bring some dirt and cups and stuff, and we're actually gonna be seeding.
The 2 areas that you have in these community gardens, have they been assigned? How is that going to be assigned? Like the one you said, oh, Terrell, and then the other.
Veronica Taylor has the sign-up list for each garden, and it's a first come, first served basis. She's Parks and Recs, the director of Parks and Recs.
So we're supposed to contact her.
Well, I'll send out an email today.
Paul is here to,
Where's the one to go? Where's the
The
one
one
to
on Carroll on Berkeley Terrace, which is both of Carroll and, Front Street. So if you go down Front Street towards Carroll, it's gonna be on the left-hand side, it's gonna be a dead end street. And then when you turn onto Berkeley, the park is on the right-hand side. And then the one on Brookside, it's also on Front Street, where the Drake House is. If you know where the Drake House is, where Plainfield Avenue comes to Front Street,
Is that
Drake House is right here. Then you're gonna make that quick right. And then it's a quick left on Brookside.
It's like a
And
back
it's all the way
street.
towards the end, close to the entry to
Of the park.
Greenville Park.
Okay.
it's a dead end street, it's just a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, closer to the park.
Like if you came off, even if you came off of Grand Ave and you crossed across, you could go that way.
That one, yeah, Brookside has 14 beds available, and the other one has 22 beds available. So, I think we've got a couple people signed up.
Yeah, I signed up for the last
Dreams. I recommend string beans. They also climb. So string beans climb, so you need to. They would. It's training. You can train plants to climb. Put them, lean them up against something that you want them to climb. There's also trellising, different trellising ways.
Are you gonna provide, I know spinach is not what is this.
It's not.
I don't think.
I would think spinach would be the same as lettuce.
I don't think I saw spinach.
No, you didn't. It's not on here.
Will you be provided for that? Will we-
No.
Okay, the only one that you said was provided is.
Spinach can be grown from seed. It's pretty easy to grow from
She said
seed.
the only one that she was providing was
Yeah.
the cherry tomatoes, peppers.
And also
eggplant,
lettuce.
squash, and cucumbers.
Those are required of that.
Strawberries. Would do great.
Tomatoes,
Yeah, strawberry spread,
squash, summer squash, cucumbers, and eggplants. That's what she provided
It's
right now.
pretty easy to control
So
strawberries.
everything else.
Not easy to control.
If you get anything that she's not providing, you have to provide it yourself. So those are the five that she's providing right now. Yeah, tomatoes, peppers, squash, cucumbers, and eggplants.
Yeah. I'm gonna be starting kale, actually. Oh, really? Oh, you gonna have kale? Yeah. Kale is great. So are collards. Oh, I love that. Collards, kale, I like the mushrooms.
Maybe I'll take this.
We should do a smoothie class.
That's what I'm doing.
You're doing a smoothie then. The other thing you can do is you can grow a pizza bed. Pizza bed with oregano and basil and onions.
Salsa.
Yeah, salsa. Yes.
I'm looking at the so we're in 7A,
Zone 7A. That's what we are. You know what? It is changing. Climate change.
Some of these.
Yes, start them indoors and then you want to harden them off, meaning start seeds indoors and then as the weather warms up, you want to bring them outside during the day and then bring them in at night. That will harden them off so that when you do transplant them outside, they'll flourish. So, yeah.
So like I know, like the much like cucumber, the zucchini also likes the mounds and stuff, so. Like, will we be able to bring in our own dirt, or is there enough dirt there that we can do?
There should be plenty of dirt. We topped off all the beds and there should be very little settling. We just did it in the fall, so very little settling. If you want to amend the soil, that's totally up to you. You're more than welcome to. We do ask no pesticides.
Right, okay.
So all organic.
Oh, it's organic soil?
Yeah, it's organic soil. Mhm.
Okay, but if it's organic pesticide, we can use it.
Yeah,
Okay.
hopefully there'll be a garden champion that you'll be able to ask all these questions. If not, then you can come to groundwork or, let me know. I'll let you know how they're recommending, what they're recommending. All right. So you're all gonna sign up for a bed for the community gardens, right?
Everyone here so far wants Berkeley Terrace.
Yeah.
Very much.
Room right now was Berkeley
As long as I got my money, I'm good.
Awesome. All right, so we look forward to you inviting all your friends to come to the next workshop. We invite all you to invite all your friends to please sign up for a bed. And the hours of the garden would be dusk to dawn, just like any public park. So you can go there and tend to your bed whenever it's convenient for you. You don't have to wait for a group to go to the community garden.
Now, I remember that you was mentioning about with I know they said, what is it, Brookside has the gate, Berkeley Terrace don't really have the gate yet.
If they don't have a fence yet,
Yeah, it doesn't have it, so.
typically, okay, typically the way I started the community garden in Union, and we have a 10-foot fence around the whole thing. I have a combination lock on the gate that only members will know that combination.
Oh, okay.
Even in my community garden that's locked, I've had thievery. Somebody stole the tomato that they've been using. It's typical, it's gonna happen. My theory is if you need a tomato that badly,
Take it.
then take it.
That's right.
So,
Great. Thank you so much.
you are so welcome.
Great. Excited.
Okay, yeah, it should get everybody's blood going.
Yeah.
This is what this time of year
Yeah.
is. I have sample seed catalogs up here if you want to take a look. This is like garden corn to me. It's just, I get those seed catalogs in and it starts me going. So, any other questions?
And when do you know? When you
Oh,
get
okay.
your plot?
Okay, the gardens,
Next year.
they're open now. You can, I don't think the beds have numbers on them yet. We will number the beds and, you know, when you're assigned a bed, then that will be yours.
Okay.
Did they find out how much the fee was gonna be for the?
I'm not sure if they're gonna be charging a fee yet.
Yeah, we're not still discussing that.
We're
Okay.
still in discussion, so there could be a nominal fee,
Okay,
just to cover, you know.
yeah, and I know that you mentioned that in the first meeting, so I just wanna know, like, what they're gonna charge, and when can we claim that spot before all 20, you know,
Right, right.
22
Yeah, you
days?
want the best bed.
So I see some of these are,
Yes.
so like the broccoli. You need to start that planting in the seedlings in February. That should be planted at the end of March when we have access to the plots like that.
You're gonna be starting them at home.
The
You're
broccoli,
gonna
right.
be, yeah, and the seeds you're gonna maintain at home. It's recommended in this zone not to put anything into the ground until Mother's Day weekend.
Right, okay.
That's the rule of thumb.
Even with cold weather crops, like the collards.
Cold weather can go in earlier.
Kale,
That-
too.
Yeah, kale.
And
That
broccoli,
can be
broccoli,
started
it says
earlier.
broccoli too.
Yeah. But the rule of thumb for the Mother's Day weekend is the rule of thumb because of the frost. That's the least possible chance you'll be getting frost in Mother's Day weekend. But weirder things have happened. The weather is so unpredictable these days. I feel like with the climate change, it has added 2 weeks on both ends of the growing season, meaning that we now harvest tomatoes in October.
Yeah, for sure.
And it, you know, things go until November, and so it's like 2 weeks added at the end of the season and 2 weeks at the beginning of the season. That much difference from what, you know, when we were kids. So,
I need to promise. Thank you so much for this. It's great.
thank you.
Paul, I will email you. And,
Paul, I know it's recording.
I'm confused now, I'm sure.
Yes, there was a-
March 9th. So they're holding a March 9th meeting and they're also filming it.
They're not available.